Some ideas are so immense, so fundamental to the human experience that they can't simply be stated. They must be felt. They must be experienced. Throughout history, the greatest teachers have understood this truth. They didn't hand out rulebooks. They didn't hand out complex scientific formulas to explain the mysteries of life. Instead, they told stories. A simple narrative can travel across centuries. A simple narrative can travel across cultures. A simple narrative can travel across languages, carrying with it a profound wisdom that speaks directly to the core of who we are. It bypasses the analytical mind and plants itself deep within the heart, waiting for the right moment to bloom into understanding. A parable is a special kind of story. It's an earthly tale with a heavenly meaning, a simple analogy designed to reveal a deep spiritual truth. Jesus of Nazareth was a master of this art form. He looked at the world around him, the farmers in their fields. He looked at the world around him, the fishermen by the sea. He looked at the world around him, the women baking bread. He saw metaphors for the kingdom of God. Imagine a sower walking out into his field under the vast open sky. The air is still, filled with the promise of a new season. In his bag, he carries the hope of a future harvest, countless tiny seeds. He doesn't meticulously plant each one in a perfect row. Instead, he walks with a steady rhythm, casting the seed with a broad, sweeping motion of his arm. He is generous, almost extravagantly so. He scatters the seed everywhere, trusting in the potential held within each grain. The sower's job is not to judge the ground beforehand, but simply to sow. His work is an act of faith and boundless optimism. As he casts the seed, it lands on 4 very different kinds of ground, all within the same field. Some of the seed falls right onto the hardened path that cuts through the farmland. This is the ground that has been trampled down by countless footsteps, packed so tight that it's as hard as pavement. The seed doesn't even have a chance to settle. It just sits there on the surface, exposed and vulnerable. Almost immediately, birds swoop down from the sky, snatching up every last grain before it can even begin to sprout. The potential for life is gone in an instant, consumed before it had a chance. Other seeds land on rocky ground. This isn't a field full of large boulders, but rather a thin layer of soil covering a shelf of limestone. On the surface, it might even look promising. The seeds quickly sprout, and tender green shoots spring up with exciting speed. Now, this isn't just a story about agriculture. The sower, Jesus explained, is anyone who shares a message of truth, hope, wisdom. And the seed? The seed is the message itself. It could be a word of encouragement, a piece of life-altering advice, a spiritual insight, the fundamental message of the gospel. It is a word of potential, carrying within it the power to transform a life from the inside out. The different types of soil, then, represent the different ways our own hearts and minds can receive that message. The first type, the hardened path, represents a closed-off heart. Think about the path. It's hard because it's been walked on over and over again. This is the heart that has been trampled by cynicism past, hurt's stubborn pride. When a message of truth or hope lands on this heart, it doesn't sink in. It just sits on the surface. The person hears the words, but they don't listen. Their mind is already made up. I've heard all this before. That's fine for other people, but it won't work for me. There's an immediate, almost reflexive dismissal. The heart is so compacted by its own defenses that nothing new can penetrate it. Next, Jesus describes the rocky ground. This represents a heart that is enthusiastic, emotional, ultimately shallow. When this person hears the message of truth, they get excited. They feel a rush of emotion, a surge of inspiration. Yes, this is it. This is going to change everything. They immediately embrace the idea with joy. Think of someone starting a new diet or fitness plan on January 1st. They buy the gear. They tell everyone about their new life. For a few days, they are the model of commitment. The problem isn't the reception, it's a lack of depth. The layer of soil is thin, just beneath is hard, impenetrable rock. A life without deep roots or a firm foundation. Driven by feelings, not firm conviction. Commitment from an emotional high, not a settled decision. The third kind of ground is perhaps the most relatable for many of us in the modern world. The thorny ground. Here, the seed of truth falls into soil that is fertile enough. It sprouts, and the roots go down. The message is heard, understood, and accepted. It begins to grow. Unlike the path, the heart is open. Unlike the rocky ground, there is depth and commitment. For a while, everything seems to be going well. The new plant of truth is growing alongside everything else that is already planted in the soil of this person's life. But there's a problem. This soil is already crowded. The thorns represent the worries of this life, the deceitfulness of wealth, and the desire for other things. Think about your own life. How many things are competing for your attention right now? There's your career, the pressure to succeed, and the desire to make more money. There are bills to pay and anxieties about the future. There are the endless distractions of social media, entertainment, and the pursuit of pleasure and possessions. These are the thorns. Finally, after seeing the seed lost on the path, withered on the rocks, and choked by the thorns, we come to the good soil. Some of the sower's seed fell on good ground. This represents the heart that is truly ready to receive the message. It is a heart that is noble and good, not hardened by cynicism, not shallow and emotional, not cluttered with the weeds of worldly anxiety, prepared, open, willing. When the seed of truth lands here, it finds a welcome home. When the message is heard by the person with a good soil heart, they don't just hear it, they listen. They take the time to understand it. They accept it, hold on to it, allow it to sink deep into the core of their being. This isn't a passive reception. The parable says they hold it fast and persevere. This implies an active, intentional process, patience and diligence. This ancient story forces a very personal question upon us, one that echoes through the ages and demands an honest answer today, on September 6th, 2025. As you listen to this parable, you can't help but ask, what kind of ground am I? A hardened path, a rocky patch, a thorny thicket, rich, dark earth. It's a moment of profound self-reflection. It's not about judging others, but about taking a fearless inventory of our own inner landscape. Are there parts of my heart that have become a hardened path, trampled down by past disappointments or a cynical attitude, where new ideas can no longer take root? Or perhaps you recognize the rocky ground in yourself. Do you get swept up in new ideas with great emotional fervor, only to abandon them when the initial excitement wears off and the real work begins? The choice, ultimately, is ours. We are active gardeners of our own hearts. In the end, this simple story from a Galilean hillside is a profound message of hope. It doesn't deny the reality of failure or loss. It acknowledges that much of the seed will be lost. It affirms that the path to a fruitful life is fraught with challenges. Hardened hearts, shallow commitments, life's choking worries. But that is not where the story ends. The climax of the parable, the entire reason it is told, is the good soil. It is a powerful reminder that a harvest is not just possible, but spectacularly possible. The story culminates in an image of overwhelming abundance. A yield of 30, 60, 100 times what was sown is an exponential return. Your life can be that good soil. This is a message for every single one of us. It doesn't matter what your past has been. One life, properly cultivated, can produce a harvest of goodness that far outweighs all the failures along the way. Something that will bless the world in ways you can scarcely imagine. This is the ultimate potential that lies dormant within every seed of truth, just waiting for the right soil. I